everybody. Welcome to Follow the Action. This is a Super Bowl super show. This podcast has been downloaded in over 60 different countries, all 50 United States, and over 2,000 cities because we do not have guys who play experts on television. We have the movers, the shakers, the pillars of the sports betting industry who have moved lines and big money for decades. You can get us on nationally syndicated radio, on our YouTube channel, also known as Follow the Action, all kinds of exclusive tips, all types of info, all types of everything sports betting. The big Super Bowl show is coming up. We also got UFC this week. We got the Waste Management Open down in Phoenix. Without some of that raucous crowd, we're going to have a little bit, but not a lot of it. But first, let's get started with the introductions. The best combat sports handicapper on God's green earth, Mr. Joey Odessa, the legend out of Philadelphia, like a Rocky Balboa. He is Harry Mays, the radio icon. And speaking of icon, he's known simply as the Philly Rooster. He is our man. He's got a bottle of wine. We love the Rooster. We also love this guy. He is the cornerstone of our show. Best sports bettor alive, the Philly Godfather, Mr. Steve Maltepes, and representing the college kids, Mr. Matt Maltepes. Philly Godfather, you ready to go with the Super Bowl super show?
I'm ready to go, John. I mean, this is probably the only sports betting holiday we have in the world, so it's going to be a big game. I know I can't wait to hear what Rooster's got to say about his beloved Kansas City Chiefs, and I hope he keeps telling that story about Andy Reid because he only brings it up like 6-7 times a year. But we'll see what happens.
It is a great story, and the more wine he have, the more chance we have of him bringing it up. I think, from pretty safe to say. So let's go straight to the UFC out in Las Vegas. We got several favorite fights that Mr. Joey Odessa, the best combat sports handicapper in the world. He's been handicapping lines in combat sports since UFC 1. And since then, he's been known as the best in the world. That's exactly what he is. And let's start off with the one I'm looking forward to the most. That is Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. We also have with us a gentleman who does not have a picture on the screen because apparently he's a supermodel and he's got like 30,000 different child support payments that he's skipping out on right now because he's that good looking. He is Mr. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Dave Mason, what do you got for this first fight that we're going to go over, Alistair Overeem and Alexander Volkov, please, as far as the money and the odds?
Yes, sir. Alexander Volkov is currently the minus 190 favorite. The take back on Overeem is plus 165. Over under 2.5 rounds. Over is minus 125. The public is on Volkov. 72% of the cash is on the Russian, and 93% of the early money is on over 2.5.
Joy, the public is on Volkov. I mean, it's hard for me to believe. I'm a big Overeem fan. The guy's got an incredible right hand. What do you got, Joy, for this fight?
Well, first off, let's talk about Alistair Overeem, okay? Might sound a little bit like a eulogy, but two-time too hot to handle champ, K1 champ, Grand Prix champ, World Grand Prix champ, Strikeforce champ, UFC champ, beat your man Brock Lesnar in 2011 in an MMA fight, okay? Overeem's 47-18. Half of his wins have come by knockout. Volkov. What can I say about Volkov? I'm at a loss of words because Volkov has never beaten anybody good. And we can look at this fight and I say, how did this fight open Alistair 125 and go up to Volkov minus 190? I don't know. I'm baffled because, sometimes it takes guys a while to figure out that they can't go in there and just swing for the fences with guys. Philly Godfather, remember, it's like, I could say Andre Arlovsky is a good example how he's been fighting lately. He's been more patient. He's trying not to get hit with those big shots because he's got a glass chin. Overeem after 13 losses, Overeem seems to finally have come to his senses. He's more patient. He's not rushing in there. He's not swinging for the fences. Overeem is not the one-round Overeem or one-round type Hector Lombard fighter that he used to be. He went out there with Jair Rosenstruck. He beat Rosenstruck. First 4 rounds, he beat him. Overeem had the better of. Well, first 3 rounds he definitely won. He had the better of him. Fight got stopped with 4 seconds left. This is Overeem's last stand. He's coming into this fight. He opened at $1.25. They bet Volkov, like I said, up to -200. I don't know who would bet Volkov. Look, anybody that watched Volkov get beat by Minikov, Volkov is 32-8. He's got 8 losses. But let's talk about some of his losses. He lost to Czech Congo. Congo got his pink slip from the UFC a long time ago before he went over to Bellator. He lost to Tony Johnson in Bellator. Who is Tony Johnson? Who is Tony Johnson? Then we look over at Overeem. His last fight, Sakai, Harris, Oyenik, Pavlich, Werdum, Hunt. He beat Junior Dos Santos when Dos Santos was in his prime. Now, this is an Overeem, like I said, it's more patient with his striking. And Volkov has a horrific ground game. Overeem's not too bad on the ground. He won Abu Dhabi European trials, submission trials for the Abu Dhabi World Championships. Anyway, Overeem is more than capable of winning this fight. I don't understand the steam on Volkov. When Volkov fought Minikov in 2013, I watched that fight and I said, wow, this Minikov, Volkov laid an egg out there. Looked horrible. I said, wow, this, it was Russia versus Russia. So naturally, it was suspect to me. I said, how could Volkov be this bad on the ground? Well, the fact is he is that bad on the ground. And I took a bet on Alistair Overeem here, +175. I think he wins. Now, I saw totals out there, 1.5 over 200. And like Dave said, about 2.5 flat. With the McGregor fight, I said go over 1.5 and 2.5. With this fight, I believe this fight will go over 1.5 rounds. I think it'll go over 2.5, but I don't want to put you on the losing side. But I think that Alistair Overeem is going to win this fight.
Miss Johnson is going to be very upset about the fact when you said, who's ever heard of Tony Johnson? So his mother is not going to be no longer going to watch our show, Joy. That's it. She's done. She's finished.
Jimmy Johnson,
So let's go to a different fight. Alexandra Pantoja, Manel Cape, also Dave Mason from Bet Online. What do you got the odds and the money on this one, please?
Yeah, Pantoja is currently -132 and Cape is +112. Over under 2.5. Once again, the over is +115. 58% of the cash is on Pantoja and 88% of the cash is on under 2.5.
Joey, what do you got on this fight?
Okay, Pantoja's coming in here. Now, I watch all these fights. I mean, I'm just, I probably watch more fights than anybody that watches fights. Pantoja can be confused, in my opinion, with Formiga. Both guys are Brazilian. Both guys are top 10 flyweights. And the difference is Formiga's dropped 3 in a row. Now, like I said, for the casual fan and casual people betting this, might confuse the two and might say, well, Pantoja's, he just didn't look that good in his last couple of fights. Look, he got beat by a Russian kid in his last bout. This Manel Cape is coming over. Now, Pantoja also, Pantoja's legit. I think he's a top 5 flyweight in the UFC, well, in the world. Okay, he had that one setback against the Russian that's going to fight Joe Benavidez next. They must not like Joe Benavidez. I mean, 2 fights with Figueiredo, and now they're going to throw him in there with the Russian that beat Pantoja. Anyways, that's their matchmaking. This Manel Cape is coming over from Ryzen FC. Ryzen's an organization over in Japan. Okay. And he's fought Japanese opposition. Now, when I talk about Cape here, I mean he won one of his last 4 fights. One of his last 4 wins was a rematch of a fight where he lost to an Asian. He's over there knocking out Asian fighters. Now, I'm not knocking Asian fighters, but they are not. Some of these guys, in fact, Pantoja's got a win over one of his past opponents that beat him. So throw that A beats B beats C out the window anyway, but it's there. On paper, it's there. It looks like Pantoja wins this fight easy. Cape, to X and O it like Coach Bagels. Well, Cape's a little bit wild, gets hit too much. Pantoja fights smart. He takes Cape to the ground. Cape's got an average ground game. I think Pantoja will beat him. I like Pantoja in this fight. I think that Cape may have his moments early. He's a bit of a front runner. You look at his bouts. I mean, it's just, full steam ahead. And he attacks, but he throws his punches wide. I think if Pantoja sticks to his game plan, stays disciplined, I think he beats him. And it's this bout here, you could take Pantoja plus $1.05 at some spots, even money. I think it's a great bet. I think Pantoja belongs a favorite.
And coming up, we've got the big Super Bowl super special coming up. We're going to go over a lot of props. We're going to go over new weather that's coming in to Tampa. How's that going to affect the over-under? But let's stay with the UFC right now. Benelli Dairouche, Diego Ferreira. What do you have for the money here, Dave Mason from Bet Online, and where are the odds, please?
Current odds, Diego Ferreira is minus 120 and Dariush is plus 100. 57% of the cash is on Ferreira and 88% of the cash is on the over, which is currently 2.5 over minus 140.
Joey, what do you got in this fight?
These guys fought once before, granted 5 years ago, but Dariush beat him 30-27 on all three cards convincingly. Now, Ferreira has won his last 6 fights. Dariush has won his last 5. Dariush has shown, I think if you look at the two guys who's improved more, you'd say, wow, Dariush's stand-up has improved by miles. Okay? I believe that Dariush will beat him. Maybe it's because the Super Bowl is this weekend and so much attention's on the Super Bowl that a lot of these bouts and what I think are, soft numbers are slipping by. I expect on fight night, Dariush to be probably about $1.30 favorite, maybe $1.45. It could happen. I mean, it is a rematch, and Dariush, like I said, he handled him pretty well in the first bout. He's just got to, just repeat that.
And that's who you got. You got Dariush repeating.
Yes, Dariush. And you know what? It probably goes over.
Let's go into a longtime favorite in the UFC and what could be his last stand, according to some of the notes that you sent me, Joey. I don't want to hop in front of you and get some of your notes read out here ahead of you, but Frankie Edgar versus Corey Sandhagen. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the odds and the numbers here?
Sandhagen currently a minus 402 favorite, whereas Edgar pays out a plus 332. Over under 2.5 rounds. The over's minus 210. 67% of the cash is on Sandhagen, and 90% of the cash is on over 2.5.
Joey, what do you got in this fight with Frankie Edgar?
Well, I mean, how can't you like Frankie Edgar? Not in this fight, but how can't you like Frankie Edgar? He's future Hall of Famer, 24-8. He had a good win over Pedro Munoz. I think a lot of Munoz. But prior to that, he lost to Jung. He lost to Holloway, lost to Ortega. He's lost to some talented guys. Beat Yair Rodriguez by he beat Munoz by being busy. Won a split decision there. But Sandhagen was coming into 2020 with some momentum. He beat a Sunsao. Then he had a bout with Sterling. Now, Sandhagen opened a short favorite against Sterling opened a short favorite against him. They bet Corey Sandhagen there. He went out there, completely laid an egg, got rear naked choke, lost in the first round. Bouncing back quick against Marlon Moraes, wins that fight. Now he's in here with Frankie Edgar. He's trying to make another title run. It's about a 4-1 favorite. Now, look, I don't suggest running out and laying 4-1, but you can't bet a live dog that won't win. That's Frankie Edgar in this fight. This might be his swan song. It might be it for Frankie Edgar after this, but he wants to keep fighting top guys. That's one thing about Frankie Edgar. I mean, reminds me of like Fernando Vargas in the boxing. Never ducked anybody. Fought everybody there was. And, back when he fought Gray Maynard, those guys knocked each other down. You look at that fight and you say, God, at what point are these fights going to start having a serious effect on him? Maynard felt that the effect of those fights, those wars early, kind of fizzled out. Edgar's still here. I think that Sandhagen beats him here. I think he just keeps him, he keeps his distance from him, pieces him up. I think Sandhagen wins the fight. And I like it to go over. I think it goes over.
Over and Sandhagen as well. So, and don't forget, we've got probably coming up this Saturday, 1 hour before the UFC prelims. We'll have a show, or we'll have something come out with the wise old tree that will come out and put a bunch of bets out to go over the UFC for this weekend. Well, let's go straight down Hoover Dam, just a little bit south of Hoover Dam, and end up in Phoenix at the Waste Management Open. And the host of the best golf podcast on God's green earth. This man is as big as Rocky Balboa in Philadelphia. He is Mr. Harry Mays. Swing It and Ding It is the golf podcast. Give it a listen. It is freaking awesome. Last week, Mr. Harry Mays, about a few winners for us. We little asymmetrical bets, had some odds on them, so we're very happy with our money we made last week. Harry Mays, what have you got this week, and what in the world? How do you have a Waste Management Open with very few fans?
Yeah, John, this is typically one of the more fun events, especially, even for television. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be there under normal circumstances, because this is like a football game. This is like a soccer match in England. You know, this tournament, it's the only golf event that gets this way, where there's just, 20,000 people. I got the picture up behind me. It looks like Fenway Park. That's the 16th green, and it's a par 3 complex that they've literally built a stadium around. And these people get in there at the crack of dawn, even before dawn. They're drinking all day. They're just going like absolutely crazy. You're not going to have that this year. They're only going to allow 5,000 people on the property each day. Typically, they get over 200,000 each day, and as many that can get in there get into that spot right there on the 16th. So it's not going to be what it was, but they're still going to hand out a trophy, and they're still going to hand out prize money, and the bets are still going to cash. So we're going to try to do our best here. I'm going to stay away from the winner this time. The favorite here is John Rahm. It's a local favorite at plus 625. Justin Thomas making an appearance in the States after his homophobic slur that he uttered a couple of weeks ago. He comes in at plus 775, second favorite. Xander Schauffele had a good round or a good week last week, is the third favorite. And Rory McIlroy making an appearance in this tournament for his first time in his career. Interested to see how he does, because when he has the driver working, which he did not on Sunday last week in La Jolla, but when he does, he's as good as there is in the game. I'm going to go with a couple of top 20s and top 30s here with guys that have really been heading in the right direction. I've been watching these tournaments each and every week, and there's certain guys that have been playing each week, and their games are really sharpening. Max Homa is a guy in a top 30. You're getting plus money at 163. Plus 163 from Max Homa is one of my plays. Brian Harmon, this guy's about 5'5", and his putter shaft is about as tall as he is. It looks like he's got a frying pan on the end of it, but man, can this guy frickin' play. He hits it far, he hits it straight, and he can putt. Brian Harmon, top 20 at plus 250, looks pretty good to me. I cashed in on one of these nationality bets last week, and I'm going to take another one. Russell Knox out of Scotland in the Euro category. Top 3 Euro pays plus 250. You figure Rory McIlroy and John Rahm might get those first 2 slots if everything goes to form. Russell Knox fitting right in there at a top 3 gets you plus 250. Scotty Scheffler making an appearance here. He owes me big, because I looked at him a couple of weeks ago, even before I was on this podcast, took him, and he really screwed me, but he's had a couple of weeks off, getting his game sharp. Top 10 is plus 400 for Scotty Scheffler. He's that Texas Longhorn I talked to you about a couple of weeks ago, John. So I know you're going to be into him. Matchup. We won our matchup last week with Gary Woodland. I'm going to take Ben On at plus 100 over Corey Connors. He's at minus 125 for the tournament. On has been in this tournament the last 3 or 4 years, and he's placed every time in the top 20. He plays this golf course really well. I like that matchup. And I'm going to leave one for you, a top 20 play that I know this guy is on your radar too, John.
Yep, and this is the thing. I'm in this tournament with a bunch of guys, some from Bermuda. One of them a big subscriber and a fan of the Philly Godfather, who I just saw his shirt, is apparently also the Philly Dogfather. I guess that. So somebody
the dog will be barking this week, John.
Somebody dyslexic made that shirt for you. It's like the insomniac, agnostic, dyslexic stayed up all night wondering if there's a dog. So I'm in this contest called Moves, and I explained it last week. You can pick one person. You can't pick them again. So you want to save your top 8 to 10 players for the majors and for the World
FedEx playoffs and so forth. Yeah,
that's right, because you get to pick 2 for each. So my buddy right now is kicking my hindquarters in this damn thing. So I need a guy here, Harry. Who you got for me this week?
Well, there's a guy I like, a young player, recently up from the Korn Ferry Tour, has been on the PGA Tour now for a little while, and he's making a lot of noise. His name is Will Zalatoris. Zalatoris sounds like, something you might have to take a pharmaceutical for, but this guy can play.
Like a Greek name. Is that a Greek name?
I don't know. And I really don't. He's blonde-haired kid, real skinny blonde-haired kid. Does everything well.
From the Papa Macropolis family. He sounds like one of them.
Will Zalatoris on the top 20s plus 175, and to win is plus 4,500. You're going to take him in your Moobs tournament, right?
Absolutely. He's
All right.
my guy going in my moves because I've got to beat my buddy Kevin, who's a subscriber to Philly Godfather, Philly Dogfather also, according to the shirt. And I've got to get ahead of it.
And he loves the Rooster too, doesn't he?
Are you kidding me? Who doesn't love the Rooster? My buddy from Texas, he hardly watches any shows. He goes, "Who's that guy that drinks the wine? I like that guy."
All I know is Rooster's been doing push-ups. Wait, Rooster's been doing push-ups all week since Harry, got to him a little bit last week with that one comment.
Well, you got to tell me. We were talking about the stock market last week. What's the latest with the battle against COVID-19, JBL?
This is interesting, Harry. We're seeing numbers and hospitalizations go down across the country, and there's a reason for this. You've had about 30 million people vaccinated. You got about 30 million people, a little bit less, that have had COVID officially. However, the CDC came out and said it's probably about 90 to 95 million people who have had COVID. When you look at antibodies in people's systems, that's about 30% of the population. So it makes sense that that's happened. So here's the thing to get to herd immunity. You have 250 million adults in America. 330 million people, take out 80 million, which is 18 and under. So 250 million adults. To get to herd immunity, you need about 175 million people to have either had COVID, have immunity to it, or take the vaccine. So you put those 95 million people that CDC say has had COVID and the 30 million people that have been vaccinated, we're about 125 million adults right now that have some type of immunity to the system. And I know that people have had COVID, you might can get some of this variance back. The odds are you don't. And I believe that's why you're seeing a depression of numbers as far as hospitalizations of people that are starting to get COVID, because you're starting to see herd immunity. We're at 125 million. You only got to get to about 175 million, according to all of the doctors. And with the vaccine that we have going on right now, about 1.3 million a day vaccinations, in about 2 to 3 months, we're going to see us cross that 175 million person line, that herd immunity. And once we do, the variant will probably come in here as it's done in other countries. We'll see a little spike up at that point, but we're going to see numbers drop off a cliff. And people are going to be spending money like they haven't done since, say, the end of World War II or the end of World War I. When you're shut down, you're quarantined, you got more savings than you have had in years. Savings rate in America is double what it normally is. And people are going to start spending money. So the way to play this in the stock market and why this is important is because in 3 months, that puts us February, March, April, that puts us end of April, especially if J&J vaccine gets approved, which it's going to do. Starting in May, you're going to see tourist season kick off. Mm-hmm. That's when Americans are going to start taking trips, and they're not going to take them overseas because Europe is so far behind on vaccination. South America is so far behind on vaccination. They're going to take trips in America. So you're going to have your theme parks, your Disney stocks. You're going to have MGM, which owns the casinos there in Las Vegas, plus the MGM bets. These stocks are going to do absolutely fantastic this summer because of the spending from Americans that's going to go into domestic travel because they're scared to go into overseas travel. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be there in time for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. We've got 7,500 people that are going to have the vaccinations, have both vaccinations that will be there, frontline workers. Great thing the NFL is doing. And it's the reason we're doing a Super Bowl super special. And we've got the absolute best in the business. We've got the Philly Rooster with his glass of wine and the Philly Godfather who claims that the Philly Rooster has bet on Kansas City every single week. So we are going to break this down and find out. Philly Rooster, we're going to give you the platform, give you the whole show. What do you got this week in the Super Bowl?
Okay. So last week, what I said when Philly Godfather brought it up was that I could go either way on this and I could argue either side. So I know after I heard the news report that Giselle called the police because there was a bunch of Greeks running around their neighborhood trying to catch a glimpse of Tom Brady from the fan club, I knew that he was going to come out with so
you started off the show with that. You had all week to come up with something. You came out with that. Jesus Christ.
So I said, okay, let me take a look and see what I really like. So I started reading about the game. And, you know, deep down, everybody knows I'm an Andy Reid fan. I was absolutely beside myself when the fans pressured Jeffrey Lurie into getting him out of Philly.
You were crying. I saw tears on your face.
But okay, I said I'm going to put that aside. I'm not gonna fall in love like Steve did with Tom Brady and have a man crush. I'm going to actually look at this game and say, who do I really like? And the more I read, the more I see that the Chiefs are going to win this game, and I mean win it easy. This 3 points is a joke. It's not even close. The game should be 7 at least. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. First of all, it's all about coaching and quarterback, especially when you get to the playoffs. It's coaching and quarterback. They say defense wins championships. It's just not true anymore. That has changed. It's coaching and quarterback. So let's look at the coaches first. This is an easy one. Andy Reid, 17-11 against the spread in the playoffs. Or 17-11 against the spread after a bye week. Bruce Arians is 4-5 against the spread after a bye week. Okay, that's an edge to Andy Reid, but it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah, but you know Tom Brady's coaching this offense. Bruce Arians already said that. So what's Tom Brady's record after a bye? What's his record in the Super Bowl? What's his record in the playoffs?
Set your man crush aside for a minute. Let me finish. Andy Reid is 17-14 in the playoffs. Arians is 1-2. And that's a little embarrassing. That's before this year. Arians, who, by the way, 2 years ago was watching all the games on TV after getting laughed out of Arizona. But okay, I think we all agree that this is a major coaching advantage to the Chiefs. And when you look at how Andy Reid plays, he gets off to a fast start, especially after a bye. And that's what happened in this season. That's what happened when he was in Philly. The guy's just great after a bye, and he starts off fast. So let's take a look at what's
his record in the Super Bowl?
Andy Reid's got a Super Bowl. What do you mean?
What's his record? Is he 500? Is he 500?
When he had McNabb or when he had Mahomes?
Yeah, just what his record is in the Super Bowl.
Look what McNabb did when he left Philly. Okay, so let's look at Brady. Let's look at your boyfriend. This year, let's look at his QBR. What do you think?
Just so everybody knows, Rooster's still hanging on to Peyton Manning being the greatest of all time. Just so you guys know.
Guess what Tom Brady's playoff QBR is, Mr. I Love Tom Brady? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's 6 rings.
Okay, it's 89.9. And Mahomes 109.8.
So what, the Super Bowl?
You can't. It's hard to compare. And no, that's playoffs, but it's hard to compare because it's a much
you know who Mahomes has beaten in the playoffs? Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Jimmy Garoppolo, and he beat the only good quarterback he beat was Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck had like no lung left, he had no spleen, 3 broken ribs, and he retired right after that season. So, what quarterback has he beaten in the playoffs that's any good? I mean, if you look at who Tom Brady beat, he just beat Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, 2 Hall of Famers, just in the past couple of weeks.
Drew Brees is retired. Why are we still talking about him? But anyway, so let's look at Brady this year. Forget about the playoffs. I agree. It's a small sample size. This year, Brady was 9th in QBR with a 72.6. Mahomes, 82.9. So, I don't know. Who do you give the quarterback advantage to? You can't give it to Brady. All his stats this year are bad. He throws interceptions left and right. Mahomes has been absolutely stellar. I cannot see an argument where this year, 2020, that Brady is better than Mahomes, period. Now, let me go back to the beginning of their careers because I thought this was interesting too. First 3 years of his career, Tom Brady, QBR, 86.5, 85.7, 85.9. Patrick Mahomes, 113.8, 105.3, 108.2. Everything points to Mahomes is better in 2020.
Yeah, but the only thing you're not talking about is what kind of weapons did Tom Brady have throughout his whole career? And
if
you take Tyreek Hill off this Kansas City Chiefs team, this is a guy that caught a 10-yard pass against the Bills, ran about 102 yards back and forth up and down the field before he ended up, going down 55 yards for a score at 20 miles per hour. I mean, you take him and put him with Tom Brady, his numbers would be even more enhanced. So I don't want to hear that stuff. Tom Brady's had some of the weakest weapons in the history of the NFL, and you can't deny the fact he's done it with nobody at wide receiver, a bunch of small white guys who are probably the slowest guys in the league, and he's winning Super Bowl. So I don't even want to hear that.
Okay, John, can you do me a favor and have that line queued up for next week? Because what's going to happen is when he loses, he's going to blame it on the fact that he didn't have enough help. And then I'm going to say, well, wait, I thought Tom Brady did everything his whole career. He didn't need any help.
Oh, he's got weapons this year. He's got weapons.
Speaking of line, I did forget. I do it almost every single week, and it's because I don't have a picture here of Dave Mason, our friend from Bet Online. And I missed Dave when we talked about the Waste Management Open. So, Dave, first of all, I apologize. But second of all, let's go down to the Super Bowl as far as the lines, the money, and what we have as far as trends going, please.
Yeah, man. Chiefs are currently 3-point favorites. Juice on that is minus 115. The money line is minus 168. Take back on the Bucks is plus 148. Over under is 56. The early cash is on the Chiefs. It's been since we opened it last Sunday. 69% of the cash is on the Chiefs. Money line that it's 52% of the cash is on the Chiefs. So when you factor in the plus 148 and the Buccaneers, we actually need the Chiefs a little bit on the money line. Over under, that's a big one. About 69% of the cash is on the over, currently 56. We did take some sharp action. Buccaneers plus 3.5. It wasn't there long, but when it was, we took some sharp action on them. We also took some sharp action on the under 57 and under 56.5.
How big is this of a game for you guys? Dave, is the biggest game you've ever had? How big?
Yeah, it will be. It's gonna surpass last year was the biggest game we've ever done, without a doubt, and this will pass it with no doubt about it. Well, right now we're trending probably about 15% over from last year. So I mean, it's been like that all year. I mean, we had a great football season altogether. People were just ready to bet when sports got back in August and September. So they've been just betting the heck out of it all year, and there's no doubt about it. We're gonna crush some records here on Sunday, and we'll be rooting for. We have a big exposure too on the Buccaneers Super Bowl future. A bunch of guys are hitting that early on when it was rumored that Tom Brady was going there. Then when he signed, and people were just betting the hell out of it, all the way from 33-1 down to 12-1. So we have a big exposure on the Buccaneers. So perfect scenario for us will be a Chiefs win, but they don't cover. So Buccaneers losing by a point or two with an easy under. Under will be good for not only the total, but I'll wipe out a bunch of player props because people will be betting over. So lower score, the better.
Dave, if you take out that Tampa Bay liability with those futures, how top heavy is this action on Kansas City? Because everyone I'm talking to in Vegas, offshore, in Atlantic City, guys behind the counter, they're telling me when it comes just to the side, if Kansas City covers the spread, it's going to hurt them big time.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially if you're tossing that over. I mean, the under would help if if the under covers with the Chiefs. But I think we're going to see a lot of Buccaneers action late. Like I said, right now it's about 69% of the cash is on the Chiefs. I think that will come down. I think there's a lot of Buccaneer bettors waiting to see if they can get that plus 3.5. It might pop the 3.5 again with some juice on there just to get some buyback. If there's a regular season game, it's not going to 3.5, but since it's Super Bowl, it's dealt a little bit different. It's dealt a little bit more, trying to even out the action. Plus it's the last game of the season. You know, if you get your tail handed to you as a sports book in the season, it's no big deal. It's because that just means the action is going to be great on Monday night or the following week. You know, we'll get the money back. But when you get crushed on a Super Bowl, and it doesn't happen often, but when it does, I mean, a lot of those bettors are just disappearing until March Madness, or some disappear till next football season. So that's why the book will deal a little bit differently than they'll deal a little bit more with a public line than they will a regular season line. But that being said, we don't want to open up to all the sharps. You know, might go to 3.5 with some juice or take some buyback, and who knows. But yeah, as of now, we're Bucks fans. Well, Bucks fans to cover, not to win outright.
Well, that's the next question I was going to ask you. With such a large influx of recreational money for the Super Bowl, what's the most you guys will move at? 0.5 point? If just say you're getting 85% of the action on Kansas City, the furthest you'll go is Kansas City minus 3.5.
Yeah, we won't go any farther, man. I mean,
Can't move off
I mean, yeah, we won't. I mean, other books might, but we respect the sharp action too. And we take a lot of sharp action too, man. So it's like if you're trying to screw around, balance the book, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're taking $50,000 a pop, and we have that rebet functionality where they can hit it for another $50,000 in 61 seconds, our odds move. Then all of a sudden, you know, that adds up quick if we're screwing around trying to balance out all the $100, $200, $500 bettors. You know, and then all of a sudden, some sharp wallops us for 50 dimes and another 50 dimes a minute later. So we're going to keep the odds as sharp as possible. Maybe just finagle the juice a little bit. I mean, if it goes to 3.5, I don't think it'll be there long.
You're not going to get KC money at 3.5.
Yeah, we still will. I mean, you'll get the pub. You'll get the pub. You'll get the public. You'll get
squares.
Yeah,
you won't get any wise guys.
Well,
we've got a couple of wise guys with a difference of opinion here, and so Matt Maltepes, the college kids, we're going to ask you to settle the difference here between the Philly Godfather and the Philly Rooster. Whose side are you taking on this?
Well, second week of the playoffs, I went Tampa Bay on the spread, Tampa Bay money line. Third week against the Packers, I went Tampa Bay money line, Tampa Bay on the spread. And I'm going Tampa Bay again on the money line and on the spread. If you want to get crazy, you can go alternate spread minus 2.5 if you want to do that. But I actually have a prop that I do like. It's going to be Ronald Jones over 8.5 rushing attempts. 13 to 16 games he's played, he's gone over that prop. On top of that, last, I think, 8 games he's gone over that. Last time he versed the Chiefs, he was their leading rusher. So I really like Ronald Jones over 8.5.
Matt, let me just chime in 1 second. Matt, you are allowed to make up your own mind. I just want you to know that moving forward. You won't get in trouble.
Oh, man.
So, Matt,
he's drinking a Kool-Aid. He's drinking a Kool-Aid. It's not wine. It's Kool-Aid.
Are you siding with the Rooster here on the side, or is this
no, Tampa Bay. 100%.
Tampa. Okay, sorry. I was trying to.
All right, so let me finish, John, because I wasn't done. And then I could add that Philly Godfather.
Happily, then we got to get Harry Mason here, who has a couple of prop bets.
Real quick. So Tampa Bay starts super slow. And Tom Brady, just so you know, this is how slow he starts in Super Bowls. And you may not even believe this. He's been in 9 Super Bowls. In the first quarter, he's never scored a touchdown, and he scored 1 field goal. Okay? This guy is absolutely in mud when he starts off a Super Bowl. I don't know why. I remember watching it, but when
why? Because it's a winning formula. That's why.
Yeah. So, and with the Leftwich Arians, hey diddle diddle, run it up the middle for no gain in the first quarter, they are going to be in a huge hole. I predict by halftime they're down at least 10 points. The Bucks' average drive so far in the playoffs when they scored a touchdown is 44.9 yards, which means the other teams made a lot of mistakes. The Chiefs are not going to make those mistakes. The Bucks had 16 drives in the playoffs that started inside their 25. 0 touchdowns. They cannot drive the ball. Brady is not what he used to be. Mahomes in that same situation inside his own 25 is 6 of 10 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 2 no scores. This is easy KC, easy money.
Ooh, hey diddle diddle, running up the middle.
Wow.
Does that formula work, Harry? You got to chime in here. We've got a little side developing between Rooster and other people there in Philadelphia.
I want to know.
Not to interrupt you, Harry. You know what Rooster didn't mention is that Tampa Bay's third this year in points per drive, and Kansas City is sixth. So I don't know where he got his stats from.
I think I'd rather see the Rooster against PGF in a pillow fight on Sunday night than this football game, because this is heating up. Like this is something we got to put us in a steel cage, JBL. Can we get that arranged somewhere?
I know somebody who happens to have a steel cage. Yes,
exactly. I know you got a spare belt laying around too.
That's
There's a
right.
ladder.
Absolutely.
We could put a ladder in there. All kinds of stuff.
If we're gonna
John
do
got that.
John,
John Senior's got that.
if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna need two of those midgets they used to put in there with me to fight this guy. He's an animal.
I once at a WrestleMania in Orlando hit a leprechaun with the trash can.
Is that right?
I'll send you the clip one day. It was a little hornswoggle. It was.
Oh man.
The last time I would say, when I was a wrestling fan, which I was, Bruno Sammartino was the champion.
Oh man, that's a long time ago.
I got to interview Bruno before he passed away. He was 81 years old. He still remembered hiding in the Brucey Hills in Italy with his mother from the Nazis. It was he had incredible memory. It was one of the thrills of my life getting to interview Bruno Sammartino.
And who was his protege, Rooster?
Bob
Zabisco.
Zabisco, Larry Zabisco. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
All right, I don't have a play on the side. I took the total under 56. I'm gonna be whistling past the graveyard probably in that fourth quarter with these two teams if they both get it cranking. But I'm going under 56. I went over 2.5 on Mahomes' TD passes. I think he's going to throw at least 3. I think he's going to have a big day. It might take him a little while to get going because I don't know what Rooster was talking about, but KC has gotten off to slow starts in these playoff games. They've been behind in many of them dating back even to last year. But once they get it going, they get it going. Longest completion for Tom Brady, over 39.5 yards, minus 112. I'm going to take that. I think he's going to have one. He's going to get one at least down the field for 40 plus. And I took a cross bet here between golf and the Super Bowl. There's one that I could find. John Rahm, final round birdies only, not score. So he could put up 10 birdies. He might have 5 bogeys and be -5. That doesn't matter. The 10 birdies are what would count versus Leonard Fournette receptions +0.5. I like Rahm.
Not a great bet.
That's a great bet. I think Rahm's good for about 9 or 10 birdies in that final round.
So Dave Mason from Bet Online. I know you got some crazy props here. What have you got with us for props? You got any off the top of your head that have a lot of fun for people betting?
Yeah, man, we got a ton. You know, we have all the we have the player prop software where you can get all the standard over under yards for, you know, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, all the standard stuff, players score first touchdown, etc. That's all located in our player prop software. And then within the sportsbook itself, we have all the crazy stuff. You know, every year the national anthem length, that's one of the most popular bets of all the props. It's right now it's a minute 57. It opened at 2 minutes. Within that, we have all sorts of stuff. The singer of the national anthem, Jasmine Sullivan, we have stuff on her. Will she have cleavage? Yes or no? That's always a popular one, the cleavage props. We have, you know, which players will be shown first during the national anthem. Gronk or Kelsey, the two quarterbacks will be matched up. We have everything. Joe Biden has an interview before the game, over under on how long that's going to be. You know, what word to say first during the Amanda Gorman poem, Hero Pandemic Super. We have all sorts of stuff. The Sarah Thomas, the female ref, she'll be making the first female ref to ever ref at Super Bowl. What will her hair be? Will be up in a pony? Will be down in a ponytail or up in her hat? You name it, we got it. It's all in the sports book.
Dave, I even saw a bet with the lady referee, Sarah, whether somebody would give her a good game pad and actually hit her on the rump as they went by her. It was like,
yeah, we had that. I got a lot of people angry at me. Like, they're like, why are you offering this prop? So we have all, we have all sorts of crazy stuff, man. Like I invented the cleavage prop years ago and people loved it. So I do it every year. We have side boob for Miley Cyrus, so she have side boob. You know, you name it, we got it, dude.
That's a lock.
Yeah, right. Well, I think it's minus 300, I think. So, and people bet the hell out of this, man. You know, it's crazy. Some of this stuff gets as much action as a player props. I mean, that's Super Bowl over under. That'll be a 6-figure decision likely. It's just insane how much money comes in on these props. You know, the coin toss, something like the coin toss, that'll get more bet, not more volume, but more bets than any prop we have.
Matt,
Hey,
are you
Dave,
got
real
any
quick.
On these crazy props? Have you got any that you're betting?
Nothing on the crazy props, just Ronald Jones over 8.5 rushing attempts. And we also have Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions.
Rooster, you were saying something?
Yeah, what do you have on
Oh boy.
Does Philly Godfather get a Woody first time they show Tom Brady?
Minus 1,000.
Minus 1,000.
Yeah.
I know it moved a lot. I got it at even money. So
There you go.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? You're the one wearing the man gear. You got the man.
But the bad news, Rooster, is the first time they show Andy Reid, it's minus 2,000. You get a Woody. So.
Yeah, Dave, you got a prop on will they hit the upright, the doink doink prop?
Yeah, we do. Let me get that. It's somewhere here.
I bet that. I bet that somewhere else at plus 450. I'm thinking the wind and the rain you got a shot. You know, I know the odds are stacked against you, but if the wind comes in with the rain, that definitely has a shot.
Yeah, we have first missed field goal, wide left, wide right, hits left up right, hits right upright, short, hits crossbar. So we whatever you want, and you get all the options there for first missed field goal.
Hey, Philly Godfather, we know what side you're on. We know what side Rooster's on. Matt and Harry's right now. What the over under that Harry's taking. Have you got anything, Philly Godfather, on the total right now that you're betting?
I'm waiting on the weather, John. If those rains come and the winds come like they're supposed to, I think the under's got a great shot. We got two of the best offenses in the NFL this year, both top 10 in the yards per play metric. They're actually number 1 and number 2 when it comes to passing teams. It's the first time in 55 Super Bowls that happened. But I think the defense is going to play a major role here for Tampa Bay. I mean, if you get the wind, if you get the rains, then you're going to have to run a little bit more. And we all know Kansas City's defense is ranked 24th or 25th in the league in the opponent yards per rush attempt metric, while Tampa Bay is number 1 in that metric. And if you look over the past 2 games, the way and actually over the last 6 or 7 games, the way this Tampa Bay defense has gotten healthy and they start gelling, they held the Saints to 0 points in the fourth quarter, and I think Green Bay did just 3 points in the NFC Championship game in the fourth quarter as well. So I think defense is going to play a major role. I think this is going to be a game where you might see a defensive star rise up and get maybe the MVP if the weather gets that bad. Instead of the quarterbacks are usually the right move when you're looking to bet the MVP. But this might be a year like when the Broncos won it all and Von Miller won the MVP, and we actually gave him out that year at 25-1 to win the MVP. So depending on the weather, a lot of things can happen. I definitely like Harry's under move here. I haven't decided whether I'm hedging or not. I mean, I can make myself.
Well, explain why you're hedging, Philly Godfather. We talked about it every week, but you had a 50-1 bet on Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. You got 5 dimes on that bet, $5,000 potential of winning $250,000. You're deciding still whether to hedge that bet or not, or let it ride?
Yeah, and especially the more Rooster talks, the less I want to hedge because he's so gung ho on Andy Reid and this team. And the best case scenario for all the sports books out there is for the Chiefs to actually win the game but not cover the spread. And I always like to be on the book side instead of the public side. Now, Rooster's one of the sharpest guys I know, and this is a war. Every year we go into this NFL season, and it's a battle and it's a war. And I'm so lucky to have Rooster by my side, the college kids, and everyone else on the website. And a great general once said, a victorious warrior wins first and then goes to war. And with those guys on my team, we usually always turn a big profit. And now we're sitting on that big futures bet at 50-1. So we already won the war. Now it's just about how much money we're going to, decide to hedge or not hedge in the Super Bowl and guarantee ourselves some free money. So we can bet Kansas City. We can bet the other side of that future and sit back and watch the game. and, risk free. Or we can get a little greedy and go max limits for the sickness and maybe bet some more in Tampa Bay. I haven't decided yet. The weather's going to play a major role in my decision making on how much I hedge. Now, I'm going to hedge a little bit because everyone loves free money, but the weather's really going to play a major factor in how much of that money I actually hedge, John.
Well, this is our Super Bowl super special. And we can say it is a Super Bowl super special. We'll give one last word for everybody. Joey Odessa, your big take going into the Super Bowl.
One team scores 3 consecutive times.
That's your prop bet?
That's my prop.
I love it. Harry Mays.
What do you think?
Travis Kelce is going to have double-digit receptions.
Ooh, Matt Maltepes.
Tampa Bay, money line.
Money line, Tampa Bay. I'll give Rooster the last word because I think it's going to be entertaining. Philly Godfather.
Over 37 rushing yards for Jones. Last time these two teams played, he averaged right around 7.3 yards per rush attempt. I think he had 66 yards. This time, I think he's going to have even more. I think he's going to play a major role in this game. I like Tampa Bay.
Philly Rooster.
Chiefs easy. Tom Brady throws an interception over a half, minus 160. And I will be back next week to be talking all the shit that I've been talking today. And I can't wait to hear the excuses from the Philly Godfather and Matt.
That's why it's all on video, so it's all recorded. We will be back next week, but main thing is watch this show, rewind it, go through all your prop bets, and have a great time this week at the Super Bowl. Good luck in the golf, good luck in the UFC, and have a good time with the Super Bowl. For Joey Odessa, Harry Mays, Matt Maltepes, the Philly Godfather, and our friend, the legend, the Philly Rooster with his glass of wine. I'm John Layfield. Thanks for watching Follow the Action.